Okay.
Hey there, this is Celia, and I'm here with Karen, and we are just two women hanging out, having a conversation. Two women who like each other a lot and really love each other a lot. And the intention behind us having this conversation is just bringing women together in a very, organic way, having the conversations that probably sisters and girlfriends are having behind closed doors, but bringing them more out into the public light. Every time I'm having these amazing conversations, I keep thinking, we got to have them out where more people can hear from them. And I really, really believe in the power of conversations and storytelling to help really move the dialogue forward in the public consciousness. And so I've put together my favorite people. And today we're so lucky to be joined with Karen Crane. So, hey, Karen.
Hey, Celia.
I'm so
Thanks for including me in this. I'm looking forward to this.
Me too. So I'm going to jump into it real quickly and just give a little brief bio about what you do, and then we'll spend more time getting to know you. So what I have here, it says Karen is a lifestyle alchemist. His passion is sharing tools that support women to transform their lives. Spirituality, living from love, and a divine feminine mindset are at the core of her coaching and teaching work. And Karen's own spiritual marketing background led her to work with women entrepreneurs transforming the face of business. She uses transformational tools that are deeply aligned with new models of leadership and online business. And so it is. Sounds good to me. You and I have a similar passion about really helping women activate their inner power and their purpose, but doing it in a new way. And we talk a lot about this new paradigm of women's leadership, a new paradigm of business leadership. And so I sort of feel like maybe we should just begin there. Can you just elaborate a little bit on your work and what is it that we're talking about when we're saying we want to do it a different way?
Well, I think the old-fashioned way is very manipulative. People consider business a manipulative situation, and the new paradigm has no manipulation, but in a nutshell. I have found a set of I and a lot of others have found a set of kind of rules, sort of, that if you use those instead of the old ones, the whole energy flows differently. Everything is a win-win situation. I don't believe in competition because I believe that every single business comes from a person's heart and soul. I think that's new paradigm. And so if I'm coming from my heart and soul and you're coming from your heart and soul in what you're doing, we're each individuals. There's no competition. We are not ever doing the same thing.
Can I get an amen? Yeah, I'm with you on that. And, I teach this also in my work so much because people will say, how can I stand out? How can I do this when there's so many other people who are doing what I do? And what I always say is, but there's only one you. And even if Karen and I are literally doing the exact same kind of work, if Karen's in her authentic self, and really showing up, exuding her authentic energy, and I'm doing the same thing, and we're showing our personalities and we're talking about our lives and our stories. And I truly, truly believe that the people who are destined to work with you or destined to work with me, who I call soul clients, will find us, right? So there's not only enough, but it's supposed to be enough for everybody. There's supposed to be the abundance where everybody is, I think, ultimately, in best case scenario, living in their passion, living in their purpose, doing what they're on the planet to do, and the people who are destined to collaborate with them find their way to them, right?
Absolutely. And I think for most of us, there are some people who gather a huge audience. Excuse me. Some of the big authors, Wayne Dyer did it, Carolyn Mace did it. You may be doing it, Celia.
I'm on my way.
Yeah, on your way. And so there are people who resonate at a level with a lot of people, like a bigger than a soul tribe, a whole layer of people. But most of us don't do that. I don't do that. I resonate with a certain group that when they meet me, they don't want anybody else. And how many of those kind of people do I need to be working with? 10, 15? I don't need thousands. I don't even need hundreds at a time. So when you think about it like that, it chunks the whole project down. Yes, I'm going to be authentic. And maybe I need to be authentic and resonate with 50 other people.
Right.
Not the whole world.
I think that that's extremely liberating. A lot of times in any business, you see, like you said, you see there are a lot of different models out there, but the ones that are glorified the most are the ones that are, making 7 figures and got their own TV shows and all this stuff. And that's sort of the standard and expectation that everybody stacks themselves up against, when, a lot of what I teach in the Superfly program and some of my other courses is, if you really think about the fact that making, $50,000, $100,000 a year is way more than most people on the planet can make. And if you can make that in your business and you're making enough money to pay all of your bills and everything that you need, plus some to continue to expand and grow your education and your business, then you're doing better than most people are doing. And I think that the more that we can really talk about the real deal, which is why I want to have this conversation, it's more liberating. It allows people to stop feeling that pressure, and also that feeling of that they're failing, when in reality they're succeeding, because if you started a business that you're doing something that nobody else can even get themselves to do. And if you're in corporate or in the professional sector and education sector, if you're doing the work that you're passionate about and is lighting you up and you're making a good living doing it, then again, you're ahead of the curve. I think it's for all of the other people that haven't yet had the awakening or the consciousness or the awareness that they can, that they have a purpose to, I'm very strongly in faith that there is a purpose for your life. And so I really feel so much passion of waking people up to that. But there's so many people that are not in that space of even knowing that they have a purpose, right? I'm sure
They don't know that. No, they don't. And that's really where it starts. And it's not about convincing anyone either. It's about your own self feeling the pain, because what you're doing isn't quite right. It doesn't fit. And maybe at some point it gets to be really not right.
Yeah, talk more about that at some point, not really being right, because I think I've experienced that. Everybody I know seems to hit that point where it's almost like you have to get to this severe pain point before you have the wake-up call.
Well, in I work a lot with metaphysical, spiritual paradigms. And some of them are, one of them is that you don't hit your stride till you're 30. You're doing different things. You're a child till you're 20. 20 to 30, you're breaking out of being a child. So you're just operating on these programs, these stories you have from your family of origin. 30 to 40, you're probably trying to excel at what you believe, what all this old story told you would be you'd get the plums, you'd get the riches at the time, and then you don't get them.
Right.
Or you're not satisfied. And that's when the pain sits in. Women that come to me for work usually are not yet 36. 36 to 38. And even when you talk to them, I can tell what they're not quite there yet. They don't quite understand the level of the pain that they could be feeling.
I agree completely with you. I think that a part of my mission on this planet is to get 20-somethings, especially 20-something women's, to just lighten the frick up. I'm just we are taught that we're supposed to come out of school and just hit everything so hard and get this high paying job and start making a family and get a home and go into debt. And like you said, in the 30s and early 40s, we're sort of we did everything we're supposed to do. Now we're supposed to be happy. And we're actually, I'm more miserable than ever. And I feel more overwhelmed.
Many of those women have a lot of skills at that point too. If they went to college, if they've had a career, they have skills. And if they didn't go to college and they haven't had a career, they fell in love, they got married, they hoped that was going to be a happy life, they have a job that is really unfulfilling. They can come there too, and they still have some skills. You don't get to 35 without some skills in life.
So let's take, because I feel like I want to talk more about this purpose piece, because I really, part of the organic conversation and just real women having real conversations is about seeing where it all unfolds and where we're being led. And I feel like this purpose piece is coming through pretty strongly. Both you and I would call ourselves
definitely.
Call ourselves woos. So we're sort of spiritual intuitive types. So we like to be led. But first of all, what do you think purpose is? And do you believe that everybody has a purpose? Can you speak to that a little bit?
I think there is an overall purpose that if you're human, you are here to love and be of service. Mm-hmm. I personally believe that. Then it hones down to what part of that. None of us have to do that for the whole planet. So we each find our space where we have always done well, have always excelled, something that's easy, something even that we really like to do, and then we do that, and it's easy, we love it, it makes us fulfilled, and we somehow in there we discover our purpose, which could be empowering women. That could be, our purpose. It could be knitting baby blankets for premature babies. It can be anything. And
it's all equal, right?
It's all equal.
There's no hierarchy of purpose. Like, my purpose is more important than your purpose. And
no.
What do you think about, and it doesn't mean it has to be something you get paid from either, right?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. In fact, sometimes it can't be. Volunteering to accomplish something in the world can be huge. People have accomplished incredible good things for the world from a volunteer basis. And then still you want to have a job that doesn't crush your heart. You need to, in order to do your best purpose, you need to feel generally fulfilled in all of your life. That's actually what I teach.
I love that. So can you dive deeper into that? Because, one thing that came up is you said you want to have a job that is generally not soul crushing, which is sort of what I usually teach to my ladies in the Superfly community is, you don't have to love your 9 to 5. You just have to find a 9 to 5 that you can go to is, relatively harmless to your soul and pays your bills, if not more, so that it frees up your psychic energy that you would spend stressing out over the finances if you were building a business or pursuing your purpose through volunteering or social work or nonprofits. Whereas if you're doing that full time, often I see that women get so stressed out, so overwhelmed, they disconnect with their purpose, they disconnect with their creativity. So that's why I've always been such a big advocate of actually stay at that job, or find a job that can help support your purpose.
When you're frantic about money or you're feeding your family or taking care of something, it is hard to show up at the peak of your purpose. Sometimes, though, there are people maybe that have somebody sick that they're caregiving, that they can't stop caregiving. They love this, a child or a child with learning disabilities, so they have to keep doing this hard thing. And that is not their sole purpose. It's not necessarily their sole purpose. Their purpose is to maybe nurture someone in their family. Their sole purpose may not be to nurture everyone with that problem. It may not be involved with that at all. It could be something different. You could be a singer, and your gift is to sing in the church choir or in a city choir and change people's lives with the vibration of your voice, and still be caregiving somebody in a very good way.
That's a great point.
You have your life to live, and so that and then you discover your purpose and you go for it, because doing your purpose even for part of the time fills you up so much.
I agree with that 100%. I just really want for those who are listening to this conversation to share with us the ahas, because a lot of what you're saying is extremely validating to what I teach as well, and what I think are really what I would say baseline principles for purpose work if you're looking for leading a purpose-driven life, you know, which is if you even find anything like that brings you joy, that changes the game.
It changes the game.
It changes the game. And we get so caught up in, you know, we started talking about paradigms, you know, so when we say paradigms, just to deconstruct that, and I'd love to hear you deconstruct it as well. But to me, what that means are structures that are in place, that are certain models, certain formulas, certain social, political structures that have been put in place that are sort of saying, this is how you do this, or this is how to follow. This is what running a business looks like. This is the way to do marketing. There's 4 core things that everybody should do. This is the way to follow it. And a lot of times we refer to that being a masculine paradigm, or even a patriarchal paradigm, or a paradigm based in capitalism or white supremacy, right? And it's sort of like, where did it originate from? Who are the people who created this? What was their lens that they created it based on? And now all of us are trying to pick up these paradigms and these models and put them on us and say, okay, I'm a 40-something-year-old woman trying to put this model on me that was created 50 years ago by a white man in a totally different time in society. That no longer is working for me, because I'm trying to do what they've said I'm supposed to do, which is chase this American dream. But in addition to all of that, I'm also a mom. I'm also a wife. I'm also a community leader. I also have hobbies. I'm spiritual. I have all of this going on. And the way that I've been taught that this is supposed to work, why isn't it working for me? Because I'm feeling burnt out, or I'm feeling overwhelmed, or I'm feeling depressed, right? And so that's part of what you and I are part of, putting forward a new way of looking at it. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about, you know, the divine feminine and new paradigms. What can you give some examples of that?
Yeah, I come from a different space of paradigm.
Okay.
You just described what generally we talk about society paradigms, and we're doing a new paradigm, so we're coming up with some new structures.
Yeah.
I have been very focused on the individual. All of my work is about change yourself.
Mm-hmm. Find
your core, because that's where you'll find your soul purpose, and grow that core up. Grow up. Learn, I'm serious, learn the rules of living as an adult.
Right. That's big.
And that's huge. And you cannot be happy until you do it.
Why is it so hard to grow up? What's it?
Be happy till you do it. Because then finally you feel like you deserve what you get, because you did it in a grown-up way. You did the work. You learned what you needed to learn. So for a paradigm for me, I think of a paradigm as we each create our own personal paradigm.
I love that.
We took pieces from all the paradigms you're talking about, including things we even made up. And I see it like living in a box. And I'm in this box, and I look around, and in it is everything that I put in there. And so at this age of when all of a sudden the box is too darn small and ugly and crowded.
And doesn't fit anymore.
Doesn't fit. It never did fit, because I didn't really know what I was doing when I made it. It was never it was the young paradigm. It's almost like shedding a skin. I wrote a poem about that one time that actually got published in a Chinese literary journal, about I'm a snake and I itch and I'm moving out of my skin to be in a new place. Well, so you're in this boxy paradigm, that personal paradigm that you created. And one day the pain is so great, you decide to move to an empty box. And that is a paradigm shift.
Boom. Drop
And
the mic, Karen. Love it.
you look around the empty box, and you might look around your old one. You might even go back. You'll go back a few times to the old one, and you bring some things over that you like. Maybe you're dead. Maybe you really love your husband. Maybe you have a lovely family life. You don't want to have to leave him over there, but maybe you don't. Maybe it was the wrong choice. So then you leave that there, and you only put in the new box that which serves your soul.
Mm.
And at this point, you begin to, this is when I could teach somebody. It's when they've started, and you could, when they start to wonder, what is my soul? Oh, that feels good. That's there and there, and little pieces until you fill up this new box. And you put it as big as you want. You might even put expanding edges on it.
Mm-hmm.
You create it any way you want. It's your personal paradigm.
I love this so much. And I want to pull it into a conversation about privilege. And I want to come back to that. But before I go in that direction, I want to talk about what I'm hearing come through this is a conversation about consciousness. And yes?
Yeah.
Can I
that's the whole thing.
Okay.
In this new paradigm, this is where you grow up. This is where you decide. I mean, a simple thing would be you decide you're going to stop smoking.
Mm-hmm.
You just decide you're going to stop smoking. You decide you're going to be healthier. You decide you're not going to be the bitch anymore. And I know that there's a big women's thing about we call each other bitches, but there is a bitchy personality, and it's not satisfied with anything.
There's the good bitch and the bad bitch.
And you decide,
at any given time, you could decide which one you like.
Which bitch you want to be. Yes. Or something.
Yes, bitch.
Whatever doesn't serve you, you let go of.
Yes.
And so that's when you start getting you learn some skills, life skills, communication skills, how to listen, how to be disciplined, how to be self-disciplined, how to give, how to receive, how to be grateful.
Mm-hmm.
You learn these things. These are part of the growing up. God, I'm just getting chills.
Yes.
And the new paradigm.
Pull it through, Karen. Pull it through.
And so until you don't do that till you're ready. And so this is where I have always stood, is in that empty box or outside the window of the empty box. It's your box. I can help you when you're in that box.
Right.
All the skills. And then this comes into the divine feminine, is a way of thinking that will help you in that box. So is the divine masculine. Divine means you're coming from, and spirituality comes in over here, a personal spirituality that nobody can take from you. And divine feminine, divine masculine means you are treating each other like gods and goddesses.
Mm-hmm.
Every action is like a god and a goddess.
Right. Is leading
god and goddess.
Right. A conscious, in order to, what I'm hearing in my own translation, I feel like one of my gifts is to take a really complex concept and create it in mainstream, words and communication. So just for those who are who may be like, whoa, this is really up here, very, profound conversation. I just want to pull some pieces through that I'm hearing, which is you're saying part of this journey is shedding the old paradigms, also the status quo, also the limiting beliefs, and maybe the stories we've been told that are not even ours about who we are and how we have to live and all of that. And we're part of the growing up process is the shedding of that, of creating life on our own terms, but also along with that comes the awakening, right? The spiritual awakening to, I am a divine being with purpose, with meaning, connected.
I'm part of a whole. And in that, one of my basic teachings is everything's a choice, love or fear. Let's learn what love looks like, because most people don't know. It's impersonal. It's coming from a flowing in your gut. It's universal love that spills out. And if we all could spill out love, we'd change the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's from my core.
And we all have it within us.
We all have it. We all can touch it.
We think we need to go find it, right? We think
right.
either that we lost it and it's like floating around out there and we need to go find it, or we think that it exists outside of ourselves in either things or people or jobs or money. And again, external to us. So we're floating through life unconscious, looking for that thing to make us feel loved, to feel connected, when in reality, it's been with us all along. We came into this planet with it. It's inside of our core. It's the essence of our being. It's our extension and connection to the divine spirit. And when we have that awakening and we realize that everything we've been looking for lives within ourselves, and that part of that growing up process you're talking about is that awareness, as well as deciding, making choices of how you're going to show up in your life, in your relationships, in your work, in your community, as a parent, all of these different things, in your connection to whatever it means to you. And like you said, it's very personal. This is your personal spiritual connection, which again is debunking and breaking, stereotypical paradigms that we've been taught about what spirituality means, what religion means, and that there's one way that's the right way, when what I'm really hearing you say is it's about empowering people with the knowing that they have the ability to create a life on their own terms. And that's part of their contract for being here on the planet, is to find that awakening and then begin to live a life on purpose, leading from a place of that deep, dark, not dark, well, there is darkness, but the deep well of love,
yes,
right?
Yeah. And there is no one way. Every single person is different. You may, like I said, and you may keep pieces that were in your old paradigm. You don't have to throw it all out. Choice.
Exactly.
The difference is choice. You choose it because you have thought about it and it fits your soul.
Totally. So what the piece of the privilege piece that was coming through before that I want to bring back out is, there's a part of me that was like, okay, so let's say someone's listening to this and she's a single mom. She's a woman of color. She lives on a fixed income. Okay. And she's listening to this saying like, yeah, that sounds all good and dandy for people who have lots of time on their hands, or for people who have opportunities to align to their purpose, or have more support so that they can create a life on their terms. And, all of this fits for others, but not for me. And I'd love to pull in, how are these principles applicable to anybody in any circumstances? There are certain tools that you teach that, no matter, how challenging you might feel your life is, or how truly, difficult your life circumstances may be, what can we do to pull ourselves through, even if we're not in what others would consider a more privileged position?
Two practices that anybody can do, and actually they are starting practices for everybody. But and I know some people have a lot more junk to clear before they could be where they want to be.
Yeah.
But follow your joy and start a gratitude practice. Because no matter what is going on, find something that gives you joy. And seek it out regularly. Even if it's in your head, making something up, or being able to sit out, or being able to have one little house plant, or a piece of jewelry, or a little stone, or something that when you got it, when you looked at it, you felt a spark. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love, could even be a feathered boa
Right.
Could be something that makes you just light up inside for whatever reason. Fill your space with as much of that as you can.
Why?
Because I work a lot with vibration and higher vibration, lower vibration. And I don't mean this as some people are high and some people are low. We're all on this. There's a spectrum.
Yeah.
High is when you are always connected to your spiritual self, to your spiritual source. That whatever you do feeds through the principles that you believe in spirituality, which to me basically is just love everybody. But so high vibration is connected to source. Low vibration is connected to yuck. I actually have used the analogy of an apartment building, that the bottom floor, the basement, is in the sewers, and the next floor up is a little better, and then it goes up a little better, and as you go up higher floors, it's better.
Mm-hmm.
Cleaner, air is easier to breathe. This can be literal. It's just takes more trouble to get up there, but when you get up, sitting on the roof, you're looking, just feeling the whole air, not confined by walls. You could even say it's closer to God. That's high. And low, it feels like you've got to swim through the muck to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And so the reason to find joy is because it moves you up into the higher vibration. And when you're up here, when you're sitting on the roof, you can think about the issues that are down where you have to sleep, where you live, from a different perspective.
Okay, I really love this. I just want to pause for a second. I really love the way you just explained that. So thank you for the apartment example, because I think it really brings it to light, because I think a lot of people feel like they're living in the muck.
Oh, yeah.
And like you said, and to me, being a social activist, I really call out a lot of the structures and paradigms that are part of our society that are unequal and that have done a lot to keep, women of color and people of color and poor people sort of in the muck, right? And
they are mucky. Yes.
It's a mucky, it's a mucky fucky place, right?
That's right.
And but at the same time, there's no difference between someone that's having a hard time, has gotten a crappy lot in life, and has gone through a lot of really jacked up things, than somebody who has not. They both are living in some level of pain. They both are living in some level of disconnection. They both are trying to find their way on the planet. And I think what you're saying is that no matter where you are and what you've been through, if you're chasing joy, that it's one thing that can shift your energetic vibration so that it elevates you to a place that at least you have enough perspective to make more conscious choices in your life and to figure out, where do I need more support? What do I need to shift? How can I align my life more? And some of the more secondary spiritual principles can then come into play once you've done that. So for those who are listening and are like, okay, I'm going to, seek more joy. How can I do that? Some things I heard you saying is just in your environment, whether you have a studio apartment or a big, castle on the hill, making sure that the things in your house are not necessarily expensive things, but are things that you love, things that mean something to you, pictures of your kids, beautiful crystals, tapestries, pictures, flowers, right? Things that make your environment feel joyful for you, as well as experiences. Am I on the right track here?
Yes. And when you say pictures of your kids, get it in a frame that makes you happy. These days there's so many places to go for cheap stuff.
Right.
And even secondhand stores, depending on where you are. I do a lot. I love secondhand stores. I kind of feel like it's a coup on the world when I find good stuff at a secondhand store. But something that they're just my things. They bring me joy, and I get them. Yeah. So you fill things that bring you joy. Put your space. I was going to say, when you're talking, one of the things that I think has made a huge impact in the United States is all these orchids. They're in the grocery store now.
Mm-hmm. I get it every week. $12.99 from Trader Joe's. My whole house.
Everybody's got an orchid. Orchids, don't they have this uplift? And they are a sacred, gorgeous flower. Mm-hmm. They require nurture and attention and adoration.
And some space at the same time. They don't want you constantly hovering.
No, so to have an orchid kind of just uplifts you anyway. And I think the number of orchids in American homes has raised the vibration of our homes.
Well, that's encouraging. So for less than $20, you can raise your vibration.
You can raise your vibration.
The other thing, of course, is not just things; it's experiences. It's for me, I love to dance. Whenever I move, whenever I put music on, it brings me joy. I was listening to gospel music, praying my little heart out on the plane this last weekend. And I was listening to my gospel music, and it was like raising my vibration so much. I told Joe when I got home, he thought I was totally nuts, but I was like, I had to change it to ocean waves because my vibration was like because I was nervous, I was flying, and I was anxious. And so then I was like, okay, let me put my gospel soundtrack on. I'm just going to be one with God, and I'm going to sing my songs, and I'm going to pray. But the music was getting my vibration so much higher and higher and higher that I felt like I was about to literally pop out of my head. My spirit body was about to fly out of my physical body, and I was just like, I'm on a plane in the middle of the sky. I'm not ready for that. Okay, let's not do that now. I was like, let's wait till I'm home. Now I know this music really, elevates my vibration level. So I went to the nice spa music that went back to calm me down and relaxed me. But I think things like movement and
definitely
beautiful food, and I'm channeling in Elena Lips in the Divine Self-Care Mentor that would say pleasure and play and orgasms, and just literally chasing that bliss, right? Chasing, even if it's just a bite-sized amount of it, just enough to remind you that there's something more, that you can keep striving, that you can keep lifting yourself up. And the other thing that you mentioned is the focus on gratitude. So can you talk about that as a daily practice?
Gratitude to me, one of the ways I look at gratitude is not about gratitude for things. Although one of the things that you should know is that you can't have two emotions going at the same time. So if you're really upset and you switch to being grateful, upset goes away. It can't function in your brain. So if you're upset, doing a gratitude list, I'm grateful for my beautiful children. I'm grateful for my job. I'm grateful for the money that came in this week. I'm grateful for food stamps. I'm grateful for whatever you can be grateful for. I'm grateful for that beautiful picture on my wall, the painting, or the music, or I'm grateful that I got to hear a bunch of music that I like. I'm grateful for this song and this song and this song and this song. You list it is a practice. But the thing about gratitude is it's not that you are grateful for the thing. Be aware that what you've done is stepped into the river of gratitude, the river of abundance that Spirit provides for all of us. And by receiving whatever has come and being grateful, you are in the river of abundance, and you can know that you will be given more. It will keep coming because you're in the river. It's not a limited amount. It's the river of gratitude. And it brings you these things which you can list and be grateful for. But the best thing is to know, I know I'm in the river of gratitude. I, the universe is abundant and it gives to me, and I am grateful for that.
When you're, two different things are coming up for me. I want to talk about faith, which is what I'm hearing. The second thing is gratitude and daily practices. And so I just want to say that when I was raised an atheist, and I was raised, to be an activist and to challenge the system, and really raised to sort of believe that religion was a tool by the oppressor to hold people down, to keep them, inside a box, and be docile and not challenge the systems that be. So while a lot of what I was taught, I agree with, I was also taught, by my two civil rights activist parents, that people are good, and that you should help people, and that there should be equality, and that, you should be of service to your community. And so all of the beautiful things that I feel like spirituality and religion teaches you, I did get. However, I had that absence of actual connection to a spirit or faith or something greater than myself. And so when I finally went on that journey, I don't know, a while ago, 10 years or so ago, one of the things was this gratitude thing that really, over time of me taking, as you described, creating your own box and pulling the pieces that work for you, or even making some stuff up, it was really resonating with me, because it was reminding me of when I first really got activated to spirituality, which now is the basis of everything for me. I feel like it just is everything to me, no matter what I teach, starting a business, being a leader, writing a book, it's still always about your connection to your divine spirit. But all of that is to say, one of the practices that I really started looking at was this gratitude practice. And one thing that I trained myself to just remember is that, the number one blessing you can always say and prayer is thank you. And so for me, what I started learning to do is every day when I woke up, to just lay in bed for literally 1 extra minute and go through a prayer of gratitude. And I say the same thing every morning. I say, thank you, God, for waking me up. Thank you for this body. Thank you for the heart that continues to beat, the air that is in my lungs. Thank you for my husband who I love, the safety of my children. Thank you for this home. Thank you for another day. Please guide me and show me how to serve. Right. And so I feel like, and I try to do the same prayer before bed. And so for me, something so simple has such a tremendous impact on my life. If I ever am trying to think of what to tap into, I tap into that place of gratitude, because it does remind me, you know what, you are here, like you're still here. We are still in this game, whether it's real or imagined, who knows, but we're here, and we have the opportunity. We still have air in our lungs. We still have this heart beating. We still can stand on our own 2 feet. And there's so many, and I know everybody's in a different situation, but sometimes some of the most basic things of, the roof over the head, it is all that we need to get ourselves through. And so I just really, really love that you're bringing that back. And I want to hear what you have to say, but I want to make sure that I come back to this piece about faith. But what do you think about that, about the gratitude prayer, and that really being the basis of the core of it all?
I was even going to say, I think deciding that you're an atheist and not deciding that there is nothing else, you can still be grateful.
You can still be grateful.
Oh, you can still be grateful for what showed up today. You can be grateful to yourself, to your own intelligence, to whatever things you do think matter.
I love that.
Still have a gratitude practice. It's for me, I've been spiritual all my life from a personal choice. And so that makes sense for me and for a lot of people, but it doesn't make sense for everybody. But this does not preclude that they can't be in it.
I appreciate you saying that, because I'm all about, the including everybody.
That is the basic divine feminine principle for me, is inclusion.
Yes.
And everything has to be included. You can't say, I like everything, but not that.
Yeah.
That's big in communication.
Yeah. Well, that's
what you say, but not all of it.
Yeah. And that's what I always say. I say, whatever you believe in, I believe that whatever you believe in is perfect for you. And I am fully accepting of you having your own belief system. What I believe in is that people should not tell other people that their beliefs are wrong or right, or that there's only one way. That's not, I just, in my heart of hearts,
it's a
I don't.
very private thing, and you should have the right to have it, even if you don't want to speak about it. But
Totally.
to be empowered, I'm even just kind of putting myself in the place of an atheist, then I must think that I stand on my own 2 feet.
Exactly. That this
So
is all there is.
I'm going to be grateful for my intelligence, for my wisdom, for my ability to get through that thing yesterday,
Right.
for my cooking ability, whatever. It just goes back to acknowledging the goodness and the strengths in your life, wherever you think they come from. And regarding your practice of just waking up and going through this short list of very basic things, I would say that is an expression of being in the river of gratitude.
Take
That
me to the river.
You're in the river. Yeah, you're in the river of gratitude. And,
I am in the river, and
I
have been on the dry desert also. I just want to say.
I think many people are in that river, but they don't know it.
That's true.
And that's why I bring it forward, because they think
it looks
one
different.
of the things that happens is if you were trying to manifest money for a purpose, to pay a bill, to do something, and you don't get all of it. The tendency is to say, I needed more.
Right.
Okay, thanks for that, but I needed more.
Right.
No, that's not how you say it. You say, thank you for taking care of me. I know that you are. And you don't get caught up on the...
That sounds so good to say.
On the thing.
You're taking care of me. I know that you are.
That's the river of gratitude.
Yes.
And if you can learn to be to come from that space, your gratitudes will be more powerful and more empowering to your soul, and they'll feed you.
Karen, I am loving this. You're dropping dimes of knowledge here. I hope everybody's scooping it up, because we are very prosperous after this conversation. I want to keep going and going. There's a few more things I really wanted to get to, because one thing is, I feel like you are just sounding like the wise old Buddha over there with all of the secrets to life. And while I truly believe that you have a depth of amazing knowledge within you that you've already shared with us, I'm so excited, because honestly, I feel like if you ever want to write your book, just transcribe this interview. You have ready to go. But it can't be all roses for you, right? So can you share, because part of what I was going to say about the faith thing, I'm going to pull the faith in this question together. What I want to hear a little bit about is, like, what have you been through? Like, what's been the darkness for you? What is there failure for you? Have you been through trials and tribulations? But then that pulls in this faith piece, because in my experience, working with a lot of people who are in, pretty tough situations, I'm always blown away with the level of faith that they have. Even when it seems like the world is against them. And I do credit religion in a lot of ways for this, because a lot of my friends and clients, are deeply religious people, as well as deeply spiritual people. And I feel like the fact that they believe in God, or they believe in spirit, or they believe that there's a divine plan for their life, does give them that extra strength, does give them that extra, thing to pull them through, to help them with that resilience factor to keep going. And so I'd love to hear about, have you been through some stuff, or do you just have all these tools and they just work for you every day, and life is just, you're just in the river on your raft, just going down?
Well, I'll tell you, for one thing, I have learned how to stay in the river.
Ooh, that's good. Okay, let's come back to that, because I want to know.
I admit that, because I have gone through some shit. And you gave me some questions about what is my biggest failure. It was being divorced. Divorce was my biggest failure and lowest moment ever, because I believe in communication and relationships and loving. And I did that whole marriage wrong and couldn't maintain it. And it was a crushing blow to me. That was when I was about 38. The love of my life has died.
Mm.
He had lung cancer, and I took care of him till he died. And we only had 5 years.
Mm.
And he loved me so much, I'm still full of it. I mean, he loved me up.
Mm.
I nursed my mother when she died. I've gone bankrupt
Mm-hmm.
twice.
I've got one.
It was hard for me to put up to just say that to you, but I have done
I
that.
love you for that, though. I love you.
Twice.
That's what I want. I want the real deal out there, because both you and I are wise women, and we do a lot of work on ourselves and studying of this stuff. But at the same time, you know, we're still humans in a human existence, and there's a lot of pain and there's a lot of darkness. And I want people who are in pain and darkness right now to not feel disconnected from the conversation about the light.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then the most recently, my mother died 2013. What's that? 4 years ago. And I got estranged with my brothers through that. The communications didn't work for a while. 2 years ago, I was in a car accident that really I could have been killed.
Mm.
I mean, literally, it wasn't, I was in the car accident. It was a freeway pileup.
Wow.
And I didn't realize it wasn't over. And I stood up outside my car, and I had my beloved little toy poodle with me. And another car came and hit me. And I was standing up. My car hit me and threw me to the ground. And I had lumbar fractures. And I was taken to a hospital in an ambulance in the middle of the night. Lights, flat, and the rain, crawling across the freeway to get out of harm's way.
Oh, wow.
That was 2 years ago, just about 2 years ago. And I started being grateful as soon as I got knocked out, woke up rolling in water on the asphalt of the road, and realizing that, gee, another car comes along, I'm going to get hit again.
Right.
So I crawled over to the side, but I started being grateful that I wasn't dead at that moment. And I was grateful that I wasn't hit again. And I was grateful.
Mm.
From that moment on, I was grateful. And my dog was killed instantly. When I was standing up holding her, she was killed. And the whole of Oregon went looking for her. I was on an Oregon freeway, and people were looking for so many dog lovers out there.
Wow.
They were searching, pounding the hills for her. And the whole accident thing was an experience all in itself. But I've been healing. I felt vulnerable. I've never felt vulnerable like I have since that accident, physically vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And my lumbar fractures didn't require surgery. I'm grateful. No surgery, no follow-up. They're just going to heal. I'm still dealing with some of that, recovering strength from the accident, but it was strength I didn't have even before the accident.
Wow.
And
there goes the beautiful, beautiful bells on that gratitude.
Grateful. So yes, I have bad stuff happen. And yes, I go right into my practices.
So let's pull that through. I think that's where you're going, but I just want to make sure. You said you've learned to stay in the river. So can you share, is it as simple as the gratitude practice that keeps you aligned?
It's as simple as believing it. It's not just words. It's knowing.
See, there's that faith thing.
There's that faith thing.
Yeah.
And the faith came to me, it's been proven over and over and over. I started out reading books way long time ago about ask and it is given, or believe it and you can believe it and you'll receive it, and those things. I read all that, and then I tested it. And I did some deliberate practices, manifestation practices, and sure enough, the money came in. And so I've had what I consider enough evidence to prove to me, I know that there's a river of gratitude. There's a reason for everything. There are no accidents. And if I wait long enough, I will get any answer I want.
Boom. We could wrap it up on that one. That's so good. Thank you for sharing the reality of your experience and the twists and turns of your life, because I think sometimes, the goal with real conversations is for people to see that we're all the same, and that whatever we're going through, there's some common thread between all of our existence. And it's really important for people who maybe are feeling like their life is in the muck to be able to look at people who maybe they admire and say, wow, I'd like to get where they are, to see that there's a common thread between their existence. So I appreciate that. And you and I have known each other for a while now, and we've worked together, and you continue to wow me. And I'm just so excited to hear all of your concepts come to life, because the world needs to hear your message. It's so powerful. I want to conclude on a few points. I mean, what I'd love to know from you is if there's one thing for the people listening right now that you feel like if there was nothing else that I told you, this would be the thing that I want you to take away from this conversation.
Yeah, I thought about that because you mentioned it, and that is, don't be afraid to grow up. Don't be afraid to face anything that scares you. Don't be afraid to learn new behaviors so that you can see the result that you choose to receive, that you want to be seen a certain way. One of the things I decided many years ago, and I was really shocked that nobody else wanted to join me. I decided that I would be a role model for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I would be a role model for the values that I held dear. And I said that I even talked to a book publisher about writing a book on that. And he thought it was great, but I never wrote the book. But I talked to some other people. We are the role models. We've got to demonstrate the behaviors. And they said, are you kidding? I don't want anybody to look at me. And so it's just me by myself, role modeling the behaviors I want to be known for. And that meant I had to learn how to do the darn things. And I had to learn to listen. I had to learn to be receptive. I had to learn a lot. Because I'll tell you one thing is I'm arrogant. And I was always arrogant. And I used to be arrogant when I didn't know anything. Now I know more. It's okay. It's better. But it's still, nobody likes somebody who's arrogant.
Are you saying that you're a know-it-all?
I can't. I have been called that by some people who didn't know what they were talking about. But
I think that's so cool that in all this time we've known each other and worked together, I haven't quite picked up on that. I
worked on that, Celia. Worked on that. That's why I'm quiet a lot. Because the way I want to say it is not the way I want it heard.
I hear you. Okay, well, I'm going to do a little speed round here because I thought it was fun to come up with some questions for you to just, flow of consciousness. And I did give you a heads up, so you've got a minute to think about it, but we're just going to go off the cuff here. So religion or spirituality?
Oh, spirituality.
Okay. In person or online?
I had to think about this one. I think in person, but I can make a definite deep heart connection, as you know, as we are here online.
Amen.
So I think the world is huge because of that.
It is. So speaking or writing?
My brain says writing, because then I can go over it and correct it and make it say what I want to say. But I have learned that I'm an appealing speaker.
If you do say so yourself, with your little arrogant self.
With my little arrogance, and speaking is easier because you don't have to think about it. You just
I know. Speaking is my first love. Okay.
But I love to write. I've written a lot. I've written a lot. And I like to be able to go back and see it.
I hear you. Okay, coffee, chocolate, or wine?
Coffee.
Okay, and now this one, I know you said your love of your life isn't in the picture anymore, so I'm wondering, is it sleep or sex?
Well,
and now that could be with yourself.
I still know about sex, and I would say actually good sex followed by sleep is nothing beats it.
And then a good cup of coffee when you
and
wake
then
up,
a good
right?
cup of coffee when you wake up. That's right.
Right. So maybe we'll do it like this: dark chocolate and a little wine, good sex, great sleep, waking up in the morning with a good cup of coffee.
I would vote for that. Yes.
And then a lot of gratitude. Amen. Amen. More please. Okay, let's go through these last few things here too. Okay, what's been your guiding word of the year?
My guiding word of the year. What's coming up right now is intention. Because I am changing a lot of things. And so I'm trying to measure them against my intention.
So good. Okay, the key to healing is?
Stepping into it.
Right.
I'm thinking about emotional healing, but even physical healing. Just face it, look at it, and do what needs to be done.
Okay, what the world needs most now is?
More grown-ups. I'd like to say, more love, but love is such a basic thing for me. But if we were all grown up, we could love more.
Right. So grown-ups who are conscious role models, right?
Conscious grown-up. By grown-ups, I do mean in this new paradigm.
Of course.
New paradigm grown-ups who are going to take responsibility, learn the skills they need to learn, love appropriately, do their service, live their passion and their soul gift, and everything else from that new box.
Awesome. I love it. I'm with you 100%. Okay. And then this is the big one. This is about leaving the legacy. So what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want them to say when you're on your way out?
She loved enough.
And she really did. I love you so much, sister. This has been such a beautiful conversation. I hope that the women and men who get the opportunity to be blessed enough to listen in on this conversation between us are empowered and activated and motivated to, take the next best step on their journey, and know that we're here right by their side, rooting them on, sending them that big love that you're talking about.
Thank you, Celia. I love you. I'm very honored to have been here and have this conversation. And the thing about a conversation is there's so many other things that we could have said. I'm glad we said the ones we did.
Everything we said is perfect.
It was what was supposed to be said. Yeah.
Exactly. It was the message that we were channeling at the minute, and it was perfectly imperfect, exactly as it was supposed to be. And with that note, I'll say lots of love to you, sister, and I will talk to you so soon. Bye.
Lots of love. Bye-bye.